years living improvement. So here at 39,000 feet. This is the Pacific flight. So as promised, I'm going to vlog Lisa Gardner's The Perfect Husband. But before that, what are some of the things that I bring during travel? So I can travel without the cross. I always bring a cross. Other than the ticket, I bring my IDs. I always bring my IDs. Of course, right? Okay, so first impression of the book. So normally when I read, as I said in my previous blogs, that part of the criteria in selecting the novel would be the title. So for this one, it's the title, The Perfect Husband. But then I think there's already that prediction that the perfect husband is actually the opposite. He is actually not the perfect husband because the orthography is written in red mark, right? So I think, in fact, when I read the synopsis at the back, I think the synopsis kind of revealed already the plot of the story. So basically, this is really not that impressive, because in terms of writing style, just the ordinary synopsis, and then when you start reading the prologue, in the prologue alone, if you will be reading the synopsis, it's just merely connecting with the prologue. So there's really no mystery in it. So for example, for the characterization in the synopsis, Jim Beckett was already mentioned. And of course, the wife, Tess, and then JT and FBI profiler Pierce Mincy. So these are the main actors of the story. Now, reading the prologues, it's connecting it to the title. You can already see that, alright? So since the point of view is third person, so the author is situating us from the point of view of the one narrating. Okay, seeing the actor's main role. So in this case, you'd see that in the prologue alone, the description of the character, Jim Beckett, the antagonist, was already revealed. Somehow he is normal, that he is obsessed with narcissistic tendencies, right? So basically here in the description in the prologue, let me read to you the introduction. The first time he saw her being Tess when she was 17 years old, he simply knew. He watched her red and white pom-poms bounce in the air. He saw the long golden ribbons of her hair wave across the blue summer sky. He memorized her gleaming white smile as she tried her cheerleader chants and pranced with the other girls around. So basically, this is not a description of someone who just admires her. This is a description of someone who is actually looking at the persona, looking at the character Tess with a different obsession. So here alone, you can already figure out, okay, so maybe this is a case of passion, right? Too much passion and crime. Now, in the synopsis, if you read the synopsis, somehow the action of Jim, being a murderer, somehow led to his wife to actually incarcerate him, so put him to jail. But the problem is, in reading through the pages, Jim escaped from prison, and that is where the story started to develop its plot. So from escaping from prison, and then that's the start of it. That's the start of hell for Tess. Now, the twist of the story is that what happened happened was Tess met J.T. Dillion. J.T. Dillion was an ex-Marine, and so she asked for help. And then at first, well, J.T. was doing this for a living. As an ex-Marine, he was a mercenary. If you need help, execute someone, then you can get a mercenary. So that's the work of J.T. But then the twist of the story was, okay, the deal was J.T. will just have to teach Tess how to fire a gun. Then after that, they develop emotions here and there. And then what happened was there was the love angle. So meaning to say, Tess fell in love with J.T. So somehow that's part of the twist of the book. But in terms of language, this is, maybe I wouldn't suggest this novel to my students. You know why? Because, the words are really vulgar. And then I think the author, actually the author is using not her real name. The author is just using her pen name. Is using violence, vulgar words, and sexual actions in the novel. So too descriptive, too vivid words for sexual intimacy. So I don't think this is a good book for my students. But then, these things happen. These are natural things to maybe to swear, to use swear words or sexual dances. I've read a lot of novels that would incorporate sexuality or sexual advances, sexual intercourse, not this vivid. So the question is, what happened at the end? You might say that this book can be compared to the film. If you watch a film, Hollywood film of crime, passion, law enforcers going after bad guys. So this is one of those novels, coupled with sex and sex, crime, passion. So these are some of the things that are incorporated in this to actually arrest the reader's interest. Okay, so too violent. So this novel is too violent for students to read. Vulgar words, swear words, violence. At the end, it's like Tess really learned how to fight and to shoot. So, in fact, JT and the rest of the FBI personnel or law enforcers were there fighting Jim. Remember, Jim was a former cop because, well, that makes him really dangerous. Plane is getting shaky, so we need to. Right, Jim being a cop's dangerous antagonist somehow would need the author to provide actors that would also help this. Basically, JT was there to help, but in the end, page 383, we are reaching climax. This was really a violent scene where what's the problem with this? He cannot just leave Jim because her daughter was with Jim, so he can't just leave him and then go somewhere because Jim took their daughter. So that's why they're running after Jim to get the daughter. And so things became so very violent, fought, too violent, too bloody. And in the end, law enforcers were fighting
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for flying with Cebu Pacific. Also, we are thanking you and to give you a chance to bring home a souvenir from Cebu Pacific. All you have to do is your smartphone game, which is called 90s Quiz Game. All you have to do is to listen carefully to our questions and raise your hand if you know the answer. The
So in
first
the end,
guess with the correct answer will bring home our
test
prize.
1 in the bag.
Ito na po ang pagkakataon ninyo upang makapag-uwi ng souvenir mula sa Cebu Pacific. Kailangan nyo lamang
Okay.
pong
So,
ibigay ang tamang sagot sa bawat katanungan aking sasabihin.
Alright,
Guess
so
bound for
that's it.
Manila. If you're ready, can you show me a thumbs up? Para sa mga gustong sumali. Okay, for the first winner.
okay, so in terms of the theme, you might say that this is a case
This
of
90s local band
woman
popularized
empowerment.
the songs Magazine and El Bimbo.
So there is a
Yes, we have a
woman
quick one in
empowerment.
the forward section.
There is that
Sorry, the aft
the
section.
woman can, in fact, defeat the men.
Congratulations,
So in
the
this
correct answer
model,
is the razor
it was
head.
proven that
For the second winner,
there's woman power. That woman can be more powerful than men. In
this
this
movie
case,
shown
she
in
won. She was
1998
able
is dubbed
to
as the all-time
fight
top
her
grosser
husband.
in film history. We have a quick one in the
Till the end.
36.
And then, of course, the love story is that after the death of
Congratulations, the
After
correct
the
answer
death
is
of
Titanic. It's
Jake.
down to our last prize.
of course, J.T. Dillon.
Another popular band in the 90s whose most popular hit is
was able
entitled
to
Forevermore. Yes, we have a quick one in the app
survive
section.
because he was injured that. And so towards the end, the epilogue revealed that J.T. didn't die during the last chapter. He was able to fight death and then
Congratulations, the correct answer is side A band. Congratulations again to all the winners. And for those who want to bring home a souvenir from Cebu Pacific, we have your staff toy for 450 pesos. Blankets for 350 pesos. And a whole lot more. For the complete list of the items, please check your small inside magazine receipt